Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Still making ship videos. We are here in the legendary tier aircraft carrier Midway. We are on Two Brothers in a capture the base match. We are top tier, facing off against an enemy Midway. I don't remember what the Japanese legendary tier carrier is, but it's a Bureau project. Harikiri, something like that. Anyway, I think I'll have a really good match on that when I get it. As long as I can get Azer Lane Shikaku ranked up high enough. All right, we're off in the Midway. We've got the Douglas BTD. HE bombers. Yes, I am pre-dropping in this match sometimes, because that's what you have to do after the carrier buff got nerfed. You got to pre-drop to save your airplanes. Because I got fully ranked up commanders for the most part, and the refresh rate just is not there. All right, I think I got the destroyer right here because he didn't turn off his AA. And I do have the destroyer. I'm not sure we're going to hit him, but I'm going to try. Oh, and I do get one hit. But anyway, if he had turned off his AA until I had gotten right over him, I never would have known he was there. Anyway, that's why you pre-drop, because I got evapped by somebody else's AA. The enemy team is doing a lot of bunching. You'll see in this match, they're bunching an awful lot. So I'm going to try to be a little more careful about how I attack targets in the future. We're going to go over here and drop some fighters on top of this destroyer. While we're at it, the USS Midway is an aircraft carrier. Notice I said the word is. Commissioned 8 days after the end of World War II, Midway was the largest aircraft carrier in the world until 1955. The first aircraft carrier too large to transit the Panama Canal. Operated for 47 years and was the Persian Gulf flagship during Operation Desert Storm. All right, we are maneuvering our boat here in the mini-map, and I'm still flying airplanes. And I'm going to go in for an attack here on this ship, whatever ship it is, with a star next to it. As I know this thing's supposed to be great at AG bombs. I, however, am great at torpedoes. We're going to try a follow-on attack here. One of my favorite things to do. You move from one target to the next one. Got 4 torpedo strikes on target number 1. This is a Preußen, I guess you pronounce that. And we'll see how those torps do. All right. We immediately get some more airplanes back in the air. 2 torpedo strikes and a flood on Preußen. And we got about 30K. And we're right back into the action. So because the enemy team is bunching, I'm going to try to find individual targets to attack. This battleship looks like it's pretty much as alone as I'm going to be able to get in this match. The destroyer, thankfully, is already dead. We are going to drop a fighter plane here in a minute. Are we going to drop a fighter plane here in a minute? I guess not. But we are moving in on this ship, and we're going to drop here. And I saw its name very briefly, but I can't remember it. So we're going to turn around another Preußen. 4 more torpedo strikes. Moving back in, we are going to send another sortie down. And do another drop on Preußen. And that's 4 more torpedoes in the water. And that is 4 more torpedo strikes and a flood. And last airplane, we're just going to try to drop the torpedo, but it didn't go green, so I could not do that. We're over 70K damage so far in the Midway. Based mostly on torps, so knowing the Japanese carriers specialize in torps, that's why I'm anticipating a really good carrier match in the Harikiri or whatever the heck it is. Maybe I should actually look it up instead of just blabbering into the wind here. Japanese legendary tier aircraft carrier. Hakuryu. I'm part Japanese and I don't even know how to fucking pronounce that. It's a shame. All right. I think this is a Preußen. We're going to do a partial drop. And we get 3 bomb hits, no fires. That's kind of bullshit. Circling around, going back at it. I would love it if he turned just a little bit up the board. Planes moving in. Second drop. Those look like they mostly missed. Anyway, 3 more bomb hits and a fire. Should be 2 planes, maybe 1 if this one gets shot down, maybe just 1 plane. Can we get a bomb off? And even now you look and you see they're so close together that the interlocking AA is not doing us any favors. Just short of 90k damage right now. And we put some other AG bombers back in the air. Hakuryu. Once I get that thing in the water, I might have a really good game in that. All right, we're maneuvering our craft around to avoid being in the same place all the time and being detected and all that good stuff. Not going very far. All right, we got a carrier here. I think there's a destroyer. Oh, I'm pre-dropping. This was a mistake. Don't pre-drop so close because now I'm not going to be able to get active again and he's just going to shoot down all these planes. So that was a fuck up on my part. So don't do that. It finally goes active way over the target. All those are going to miss. Absolute waste of a sortie. So don't do what I just did there. I did that to illustrate what not to do, honest. All right, torpedo planes back in the air. We're going to pre-drop right here because I learned my lesson. Meanwhile, take a look at the scoreboard. Each team has lost 2 ships. The red team, for some unknown reason, has a much better score than we do. By about 10 points. I don't know what's up with that, but my teammates are asking for intelligence data. Ask and ye shall receive. Here are some ships, including a Yamato, and including the enemy aircraft carrier, and including this cruiser that I'm going to overshoot. Again, because he had a really stealthy AA. But the good thing is we're going to be able to get a drop off on the enemy Midway. And you can see my planes are being ripped apart, but we get the torpedoes off. And I think that guy should have just kept going straight. And if I remember correctly, he wasn't smart enough to do that. So 1 torpedo strike in a flood, 2 torpedo strikes on the enemy Midway. All right, one of the battleships is trying to make its way up the board here on the right side of the map. We are sending our AG bombers out there. We're also reversing again with our carrier. I am trying to project power a little bit farther up the board, but they're making it pretty tough. All right, we are going to move in on this battleship and get off a bomb drop. We're going to wait until the whites of his eyes. There it goes. And a fire is started. And we are going to turn around because I think he immediately damaged combat. We're engaged again by fighters. Moving in. 3 airplanes on the drop. And we're going to get it off. And we set another fire. And I think that's going to be all we need there. In fact, did he just get killed? Nope, he's still alive. All right. I think that's a Yamato. Anyway, we're ticking fire. And I think right about now he's going to die. And we get our first kill. Oh, that was a Schlieffen. Well, dash my wig and whiskers. All right, back to the history of the Midway. Blah, blah, blah. Laid down in 1943 at Newport News Shipyard. Blah, blah, blah. Atlantic Fleet training schedule. Obviously, there weren't a whole lot of wars there. Didn't participate in Korea that I can see. Test fired a V2 rocket. Blah, blah, blah. Provided air cover for some kind of evacuation of the Tachin Islands for Taiwanese civilians, I guess. Some political stuff happened in the late 50s and early 60s. Modernized in 1955 in the Puget Sound, where the flight deck was altered, a little bit, and then it was later altered to that offset overhang flight deck. It says the flight deck was enlarged from 2.8 to 4 acres in 1966, and that's that modernization where they angle the flight deck away from the island of the aircraft carrier. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, $202 million to do that retrofit. Yikes. And worsened the seakeeping capabilities and worsened the ability to conduct air operations in rough seas. All right, return back to Vietnam, relieve the Hancock, blah, blah, blah. So did some pretty lengthy stuff, including Operation Linebacker in Vietnam. Blah, blah, blah. Got the Presidential Unit Citation. The first MiG kill in the Vietnam War. Last air-to-air victory of the war. Operation Frequent Wind. That sounds what happens like after I eat Taco Bell. Some other missions in the 80s. Civil unrest in the Republic of Korea. It did a lot of stuff that I can't really encompass in this video. So yeah, it's a historical ship. Its design lends it to the game. Personally, I would have liked the Enterprise as the legendary tier carrier, but I get it. The Enterprise is kind of an old carrier design-wise. And we got the pre-modernization version of Midway. So I don't really have a problem with that being in the game. As you can see here, the Midway is clearly capable. We're over 100,000 damage. And even though the HE bombs are the bread and butter, I did a lot of my damage with torpedoes. And that's why I think I'll have a really good match in Hakuryu coming up whenever I unlock that. So if you're a carrier player, yeah, I think the Midway's worth it. If you're an American ship lover, yeah, I think the Midway's worth it. If you hate carriers and don't play them, save your money. Just my opinion. But that being said, it seems really similar. Like if you said, oh, it's an extension or a progression of the Lexington. Yeah, I could see that. It feels very similar. Our torps just missed this last ship. Really annoying to me. But we're going to go in here and try again one more time. Love the bent wing of these airplanes. We'll get the torps out, and then I think we're going to get shot down. And I actually don't think we're going to hit anything either, but it just gives us another look at the Douglas BTD doing its thing in the air. And right as we're about to drop here, he's going to get killed. I think he gives up, and he does get taken out there, so we don't get that last kill, unfortunately for me. All right, here in the victory screen, 109,065 total damage, 16 torpedo strikes, 19 HE bomb drops, 1 kill, and we set 5 fires. 218,805 silver, 4,100 ship XP, 4,500 commander XP in the legendary tier Midway. And we spotted 10 ships from the air. Well, whoopie-doo. All right, we're way down on the board. I didn't expect to be at the top of the board in this match. And I probably will never be at the top of the board in anything other than a losing match, which would be so terrible you wouldn't want to watch it anyway. So 1810 base XP, 1 kill. I would say that's a pedestrian effort in the Midway on someone who doesn't especially have great carrier matches all the time. All right. I will hopefully have a video of the Preußen out next week. Mods, Flight Control Mod 1 or upgrades, pardon me. AA Guns Mod 2, Concealment System Mod 1, and Air Groups Mod 3. That's how I built out my Midway. Your mileage can vary on those. In terms of LOTA, HE bombs, and torpedoes, we've got unlimited damage control parties and 4 charges of a fighter plane that may or may not do anything. Standard permanent camouflage, and of course the Duck of War flag. All right, hit points 67,600, 25% torpedo damage reduction with our build. The Douglas BTD acts as the dive bomber and torpedo bomber for this aircraft carrier. For the dive bombers, 2,677 hit points, 3 planes per attack unit, 12 per squadron, 4 bombs per payload, max damage 5,550 with a 33% fire chance. The restoration time is 20 seconds. The torpedo version, 2,704 hit points, 2 planes per attack unit, 10 per squadron, 2 torpedoes in the payload, max damage 6,600, 7-kilometer range at 40 knots. The aircraft restoration time is 26 seconds. Your secondary battery is 18 individual 127 millimeter guns, 5.5 kilometer range, 4-second reload. HE shells do 1,800 max damage with a 17% fire chance. AA defense, your secondary battery is dual purpose and does count as AA, 2,200 damage per second out to 7 kilometers with our build. However, you've got the gold standard 20 millimeter Oerlikons, 40 millimeter Bofors. It's only going to get worse the closer you get to this ship. Maneuverability 33 knots, 1,230 meter turning circle, 18.2 second rudder shift time. And concealment 12.4 on the surface, 9.5 from the air, 2 kilometers guaranteed. Taking a look at the stats, we played 14 matches in Midway. We have a 7 and a 7 record. 7 kills by aviation, 3 indirectly by flooding or fire. We're averaging 0.7 kills per game and 76k damage. And somehow I had a match with 3,069 base XP. I think that was a weird match, which is why you're not seeing it. So instead you get this one with the high damage. So yeah, look, I got a 3,000 base XP game in the Midway. I must be great. All right, taking off the armor, above water citadel, a little bit more heavily armored on the sides of the waterline. We will put the fore and aft armor back on 19 millimeter bow plating. And the side plating includes a 193 millimeter armor belt. And the flight deck is armored up to 87 millimeters. And the conning tower has some weird armor on it. I think the sides are 87. Oh, that's the top. The sides are 165 millimeters. Anyway, that is the armor profile of the Midway. Here's our Commander Ernest King, fully maxed out for your pleasure. I come prepared 8% AA range. Swirsky and Dartige du Fournet for HE bomb damage. Row 1, no fly zone. Row 2, emergency power. We gave up Stronghold for that, which I think you should never pick, because you shouldn't encourage any damage incoming at all. Out of sight for our HE bombers, simply because that's the best part. On alert, again, a skill you shouldn't be trying to get long-range fire incoming. Hidden threat, this ship has HE bombers as a specialty, not torpedo bombers. Burn Baby Burn in row 4, again, building in the HE bombers, we give up concealment. And legendary skill, Death from Above, dive bomber airspeed. All right, so that is our build for the Midway. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I will see you on the next one.